Good morning everyone. Today we're just going for a little outride and we're gonna talk about some basic stuff for people interested starting in motorcycles, what to consider and so forth. And I've also hopefully started finding ways of getting rid of some of the wind noise while riding, so you guys can appreciate the sounds a bit more. So we're gonna stick to town riding, and if I can find the visor lever, that would help a lot. So what I want to do in this video is just to put some basic thoughts and considerations into motorcycling for somebody that's wanting to start, and then they can use whatever information in there that's useful and maybe delve a bit deeper. So the first thing is, I think it boils down to bike choice and what you like and prefer. So there isn't a right or wrong, but there are some things to think about. Personally, I don't think you want to start on a large capacity motorcycle like a liter, maybe a 750 or something. But either way, you've got to take a motorcycle which makes you happy, not what your friends tell you what to buy or what the reviewers tell you to buy. You have to live with this motorcycle and you're going to spend money on it, so buy something that does something for you, not for other people. So that's the first one. The second one is gear, and I've made some inserts and clips and I'll insert them, I'm not quite sure when, but we'll add it somewhere in the video. But what I want to get with gear at is, once you are committed in buying a motorcycle, before you buy the motorcycle, purchase your gear. Do not finance gear with your motorcycle, at least my view. So Jacques gear is very expensive and you know, I can't buy everything. So as a start, you don't need to buy everything, but for me there's two pieces of gear that is not negotiable, and one's obviously a helmet. And when I say helmet, guys, not something cheap. I'm not sure how much you value the insides of your skull, but if you do, you know, make sure you get proper protection. And the other one's gloves. Alright, bare minimum. It's natural instinct to use your hands when you fall. Moreover, we all work in some shape or form, and we use our hands for that. If it's physical labor or sitting in front of a computer or wherever, it doesn't really matter. These are the things that generate our income and money, so protect them. Moreover, if you've got some other injuries, you know, you need your hands to look after yourself and care for yourself. So those are the things I wouldn't skimp on. I've got some notes here on my arm. I am a cave diver. This is one of my slates I normally use to put dive information and so forth, and that's just to make sure I stick to what I said I'm going to do. So the other thing is, alright, you've purchased yourself some gear, helmet and gloves, good quality stuff, you're happy with that. Why are we not selecting? little bit cold and too low RPMs, I think. In any case, so you've purchased helmet and gloves, and you have purchased your motorcycle. So what next? So you need to go for some training. In your area, find people that does training, attend it. If you can, do a track school in the beginner's class where they teach you more basic stuff and some advanced techniques which will just help you become a better, safer rider. There's always value in that. So do training and never stop with training. Then once you've got your motorcycle, setup of the motorcycle is important. So I've said in my previous videos, you buy a new car or you take a rental from the airport. The first thing you do when you get in the car is, move the seat, steering, whatnot, mirrors and so forth, because we're all different. And motorcycles is exactly the same. In fact, they might be a little bit more finicky. And the reason for that is, let's quickly cover suspension. Motorcycles are relatively light compared to vehicles, and so they use lighter suspension components to balance a motorcycle than on a car. So on a car they've got very stiff stuff, it's a heavy vehicle and people get into them and they drive. With motorcycles, because of a passenger or a rider maybe contributing a third, or if you're on a smaller bike, even more, to the total weight of the motorcycle compared to the motorcycle, it's going to make a big difference on the suspension, and that's one of the first things you need to set up. That, and where your gear lever is for your foot, is that comfortable? Are you shifting correctly? Your levers, and more over the angle of them. What is the distance of travel on both levers for your hands with your gloves on? Those are the things you need to consider, and refine your setup of the suspension, and also know your tire pressures and use the appropriate tire pressures for the tire you've got on and the type of riding you're going to do, and moreover ambient temperatures and conditions. Those are important things to also learn and understand over time, and how that affects the motorcycle. So on suspension, I just quickly want to give you another example. I've made some more tweaks to my suspension and actually going slightly softer. I'm not a heavy guy. Neither is my daughter or the missus, so I've dialed in the rebound on the front suspension and the rear quite nicely, and also the compression. So yesterday we went for a ride, and when we arrived at the destination, I asked the missus how was the ride, and she's not somebody that cares to understand these things or whatever, how you set up a bike. Not that she knew, but the first thing she mentioned was, she said, I'm not sure if I'm more relaxed or it felt a lot more comfortable, softer, smoother. So suspension setup, even with basic changes, can and will transform a motorcycle's ride and handling. No man, so I think I've essentially covered what I wanted to talk about at the high level. So get the bike you want. not what people tell you should be getting. Get training, practice. The other thing is very tempted to join people on other rides and stuff like that. I do not encourage people to ride in groups. If you want to be in an accident, the group ride is the perfect place to happen. People don't know what other people are going to do, different riding styles and skills and objectives of the ride, and egos and so forth can play a very big role, and that's where a lot of the accidents and stuff happen. So stay away from group rides until you're really comfortable, know the people you're riding with, and then just stick within your limits. I'm going to shut up a bit and do a bit of riding, and hopefully you guys can appreciate the sights and sounds of motorcycling. So one of the first things I like is the rumble of this triple. One of the other things I really enjoy and appreciate on this motorcycle is the brakes. They are absolutely phenomenal, considering how much weight and speed it needs to scrub off. And in that regard, it's not just the brakes, the tires also play a massive role, as you would know by now, or at least I've tried to showcase and talk about that in my previous videos. The tires, but also the suspension, all of these things need to come together, and smooth rider inputs. That rumble I'm talking about, that little purple on the overrun DXL. Traction control working overtime, and this bike traction control, depending on how sensitive you've set it, will work overtime. We're going to drive quickly to the Voortrekker monument up there on the hill in front of us. I want to capture some other video clips, suspension travel, so forth, what they call in the industry B-roll footage, and need some for my channel, and maybe something for you guys to see. This road is quite bumpy. There's a bridge coming up with some unevenness. That's always a good indication of suspension balance and travel, and how it will upset your motorcycles or come in. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Slightly out of the seat, but very, very comfortable. I'm not sure if there's an entrance fee today. We'll see if they have. I'm going to maybe turn around. I haven't got cash on me. No, I think we're going to turn around. So we're going to quickly take a drive up the hill and then down the hill into the industrial area, also a very bumpy road, and then we will go home with short little bursts. So once again, thank you for joining the channel. I hope you found some of the very basic information I've presented useful, you know, just to get started. So with cornering, you really want to just shift your weight slightly into the corner. You don't need to hang off the bike. In fact, there's a couple of riding styles. So what they call the English style is where you sit upright in the bike and you put your weight slightly forward over into the corner. And then you've got what they call a French style, which is more motocross style, where you actually counterbalance. And there's pros and cons to all of the various techniques. And then you get Valentino Rossi and the rest of the crowd. Don't get tied up into hanging off a bike. It is proper for racing, not for street riding. You want to look into the turn and go through the corners. I've talked about trail braking, which is an important aspect for generating grip and keeping yourself safe, so that if you've got issues or need to change direction or come to stop in a corner, you can. So there's some double railway tracks coming up here, which is triple, sorry. Very comfy, guys. This motorcycle is really such a joy to ride, even on rough, uneven surfaces. So essentially, let's quickly talk about how do you set up suspension. The first thing you need to do on the front and rear, if your suspension is capable of having adjustment for that, the first thing I do is I increase preload. If I can, as example, my front forks hasn't got preload, but the rear has. I've increased that dramatically. And that's to get the bike slightly more front balance biased, more aggressive, so I've got grip and traction coming off the front wheel. Plus I've got more suspension travel on the rear because the preloads increased there. Then the other thing you can do without actually going for a ride to do the basics is set the rebound damping. So rebounds how quickly the shock comes up and how it settles. So you want to compress the fork and then without any pressure it needs to come up quickly, get to the top and then squat down, settle just briefly, let's call it 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch. So it comes up and settles down once. That's how you want it to do. If it bounces a couple of times it's too soft, and if it just shoots up and it doesn't come down and settle, then it's too hard. So you do that on the front and rear, and you do that while the bike's static. And then generally what I do is I have as a start dial in the compression damping, dial the compression damping to a similar setting. So if I'm on the softer side, I'll have the compression also on the softer side as a start, and then I'll ride, and then I will increase only one setting at a time when it comes to compression damping. I'll maybe show in my front fork, I've got a little zip tie on that shows my front fork travel, and yeah, that's it. We've got some police up, so let's see how irritable they are this morning. On a Sunday weekends, they're not fond of bikers because the guys drive unlicensed. Or not unlicensed, well, unlicensed and with registration plates and speeding and so forth. My motorcycle is legal, but there's plenty of opportunity in South Africa on our roads to find little spots to safely play. You must just not want to be in the play mood all of the time. We were illegal a long time ago. Oh man, the talk on this thing is just sensational. So thank you for joining me on this ride. We're about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes from home. I expect more police on this road. This is the in and out of the town for a lot of the bikers. So once again guys, one of the skills you have to learn if you want to become a very safe rider and really understand where grip comes from and ride within that limit is to learn how to trail brake with the front. In fact, I haven't touched the rear brake yet today. I use the rear brake on this motorcycle more for low speed stuff. We're in 6th gear. I just roll on them. There we go. I see a lot of the videos where the guys have got these motorcycles and in straight riding, you know, they just up and down the gears. You don't need to do that. It's not the 600. So this motorcycle essentially does about 105 kilometers an hour in first gear before you need to select second, and from there, I mean, it just continues. Oh man, these brakes, wonderful. I see there's some racing going on at Zwartkops, so let's maybe pull in there and see what's happening. I'm not sure if it's a track day, looks like a track day.